We're back now. We're talking about how to see nature spirits, and our special guest is Dr. Christian von Laar.
Thank you.
And Christian, you were talking about how mixing red and green lights in bushes near the earth is great to see gnomes.
Yeah, we were taking advantage of the fact that nature spirits, all the different types, resonate with certain frequencies of light. And we don't see these colors in ourselves, but we're resonating with all the colors. So we don't make a distinction. But with nature spirits, they resonate with a particular set of colors. So the green and red work for the gnomes. Now, if you wanted to see elves, and remember they're kind of shy, you're going to want to look in those tall, thin
like
plants like bamboo or birch.
And the bamboo, right. Anything tall and thin.
But you can actually increase your odds by mixing the colors green and white. So if at night, it's nighttime, if you take an area of your garden, Chris, and you put some green Christmas lights and some white, so we have those two frequencies, they will automatically gravitate to this area that's naturally comfortable for them.
And not only that, the elves said they love the twinkling of the lights, especially the white lights. And so, you know how you go to Disneyland or Disney World and in the middle of the park they have all those trees or bushes with the twinkling lights? That's exactly what elves like as well.
Jeez, are you suggesting that there might be nature spirits or nature people at Disneyland?
Oh my goodness, there are tons of them. I was going to say hordes, but that's not a really nice word.
Can you imagine?
There's many. When we go to Disneyland, for example, there is a grand older gnome that is right by the train station. Mickey Mouse is usually in flowers, and he's there, and there's gnomes all throughout the trees near the Small World exhibition in the background.
You remember the light parade?
What about that?
Everything, the parade that went through was all made out of lights one year, okay? And that was like nature spirit heaven. They were everywhere around because every color in the rainbow is there, so we're always going to attract some kind of nature spirit. But let's talk about another interesting one, kind of hard to bring into your life, and that's leprechauns. Now, the color's green, and this is more like an emerald green, and gold. Who would have guessed that the leprechauns would like the color gold, okay? But you put those two colors together, guess what you get? You're going to be drawing leprechauns. And you get to have proof in this case, because if you take some plants and put these lights there, guess what starts growing in those pots?
Shamrocks.
There you go.
Clovers. And that is one of their favorites, and mushrooms. Don't be surprised if you see some mushrooms growing in the area that you dedicate for the leprechauns.
That's so cool because you get that proof. Now, you can help out the process by taking like an old gold bracelet or earring that maybe it's broken, needs repairing, and also leather belts, okay, or leather shoe parts. Because leprechauns like to work on all those things.
Yes,
you can actually put that broken bracelet or earring or something, or ring that's missing a gem, on the tree, the plant, and then they feel like they've been gifted. And why would we want to gift the leprechauns?
Because they're traders, and they want to. They actually don't like. They don't say the word trade. They say it's consideration. You do something nice for them, they're going to want to do something nice for you. But we tell people, don't do it for that reason. Do it because you want to. Don't expect anything in return. But
their sense of equality is different than ours. I mean, you may give them a broken ring, and they may give you the relationship that you're looking for.
You know, I started off with a ring that was handed down from my grandmother. It was a gold ring. And it was missing.
I didn't know that.
Yeah, it was missing some gems, and you know, I'm not going to be able to use this ring. It didn't fit, and I didn't want to, you know, just put it in a drawer somewhere and leave it. I gave it to the leprechauns, and the thing about gifting them, it's very important to know this, is that
I know where you're going with this.
If you're going to give them gold, for example, which is one of the best gifts you could possibly give them, in addition to spirits, just make sure you're really giving it to them, and you're not going to be taking it back.
Yeah. So it's probably not a good idea to go and get mom's old wedding ring, you know.
It depends.
Or dad's gold watch, you know. Make sure you can use that for this purpose.
And place it in the garden, or you could have a little, I also have like a little closet armoire where we put things for the nature spirits in there. You can just place it in there for them.
You know, since we were speaking of leprechauns, there is something that they really like too, besides these gifts and the colors. Water, wishing wells.
Oh, water's very important to all nature spirits.
So if you pick the part of your garden that has a little, you know, a wishing well, and you can buy them at home improvement stores, and actually have some water there, and put some stones around it because they like those stones too. They rest against the stones, and they sit there waiting for little children to come and give wishes. This is an interesting story, Chris. people say, well, and maybe they're 50 or 60, and they're saying, geez, I'm making a wish and I'm not getting anything. The first thing you want to know is that the leprechauns often grant the wishes for children, especially little girls, because they do something very unique with their wishes. They're selfless. They're not asking for anything from themselves. The little children, especially the girls, are saying, I hope mommy finds a husband, or I hope daddy gets into a new job, or I hope grandma gets better. And all those selfless wishes, the leprechaun that's laying there along that stone says, I could do that.
Yeah.
And then it comes true.
You know, all those pennies in Disneyland and Disney World and places where you toss them into the wishing wells or the water fountains, the nature spirits can see every wish on those pennies and those nickels. And I think we asked them once, well, what are the wishes? And they said, we're not allowed to tell you. But they can see the ones that are more selfless. But the leprechauns have also said, they said, don't be going telling those people that they can't have something grand, shiny, and special like a new car for themselves. That's okay too as well.
But so before we get to the wishes, you got to see them, right? So remember, you want to put the lights in different areas of the garden. So you have a gnome area, an elf area, a leprechaun area, and they'll start gravitating there. And when you're suddenly seeing 20, 30, 40 leprechauns, I mean, you're drawing 20, 30, 40 of them, they're going to be easier to see when they're in groups.
Leprechauns, if they do decide to make themselves known to you, and they don't do this for everyone all the time, but there is no mistake about it when a leprechaun comes in. They come in extremely clear, almost.
I call it dramatic. Would you say that's the right term?
Very well.
Yeah.
I remember seeing one of our.
They are over the top when they
first.
come in.
I saw their eyes in the garden. It was so striking. And what nature spirits usually do is they'll show you their face first, and because they don't want to scare you or startle you, because you really would be if they popped in full color, full detail. And so they'll usually start with their eyes or their face, and then slowly let the rest of the body come in.
Now you're going to see that fancy vest and the top hat with the buckle on it,
that pilgrim
and
top
the leather
hat.
shoes. You know, in the gnome garden, if you're seeing gnomes, they tend to have bags, so you may see knapsacks or bags like kids carry books these days. Well, modern version, but gnomes always carry like a knapsack.
Gnomes love backpacks.
Yeah. And then the elves often have a fishing equipment. But the leprechauns, of course, they got the belt buckles, the thing on the hat, the vest with all the different colors.
And you'll usually see them holding a pipe. They said 100% of the time, right, they're going to be holding a pipe. And what's also a very big distinguishing characteristic of leprechauns is they have those old-fashioned gold watches.
Yes.
You know, the round kind with the links going into their vest. And they said each link represents...
And realize, too, that time is their prize. Time is one of the things that leprechauns can work with.
Yes.
And this is why things go missing and come back. Because when they transcend from this plane of existence to that astral plane where we dream at night, time changes.
That's right.
And that's why things can pop in and out. And this is why they can perform a lot of their magic. They might have more time to get things done.
Well, you know, Christian, time is different for the nature spirits all around. They said the equivalent of a human's day is like 2 of their days. And so they have 2 breakfasts, they have 2 lunches, they have 2 naps, and they're able to get a lot done.
Maybe I am an incarnated leprechaun. Okay.
Time is faster in the nature spirit kingdom, and that's why sometimes when you see them, you may see them out of the corner of your eyes when a lot of people sense them really going by fast. I remember the first time I ever saw a gnome Everett, he was running by, and it was like a whitish blue haze going across the floor really fast. So they can travel very, very quickly because time is different.
That wasn't me, right?
No.
Well, you know, time it plays in a different way into the story because nature people live a very long time. Technically, we could have had 2, 3, 4, a dozen lifetimes, and the same gnomes that are attracted to us will have seen us through all of those. Because they're made of etheric matter, which means they don't have the density that we do, the solidity, they will age over greater lengths of time. So they could be thousands, sometimes many thousands of years old, especially leprechauns.
And that's why they're with us life after life. And you know what, Christian? There was a time in our history when we could see nature spirits a lot more clearly, and that was the medieval times. And what's really interesting is that's where all our folklore comes from. All our fairy tales come from that medieval time. And do you want to explain why?
Sure, I'll show you why that is. Humankind, or our consciousness, is evolving in a cycle. We actually started off very, very high in the spiritual realm, and we sort of cycled or circled around. And we're actually down here at this densest part of our existence now, and we're going to be going lighter in consciousness, and actually will physically be less dense. But the nature kingdom is also doing that, only they're going in this direction. So there was a time in our evolutionary paths where we're side by side. It happens every routinely. And the last time was during those Middle Ages. So that's why all the stories came from that time. But also, they could see us, is what we're trying to say, very easily and interact with us, and we could see and interact with them. Again, why we have all those stories, and also why we have all the experiences of them. If you can see them, you can interact with them. It was a natural thing back in medieval times.
And you know what? When we come back, Krishna, I want you to tell us when was the first time you saw a nature spirit and what that was like when we come back.